Well, I've been meaning to do a garden tour for weeks now, and especially when the roses were in full bloom, but actually didn't get my act together. The time has now passed, the roses, well, they're past the first flush of blooms, but still there are very many pretty things to see, and I'll show them to you today, along with some clips when the roses were in bloom and some of the other plants were in better shape. Enjoy! First up, let me show off my summer container, or rather the container that I planted out in spring, and this beautiful blue sort of accent container that I have. It's got a petunia in it and some trailing lobelias. The summer container itself, well, I planted it out in sort of mid to late spring with an alyssum, with a hebe in it and some bacopa. The bacopa actually needs a bit of attention and needs deadheading, but I kind of love this combination. It's a bit restful and fits in with the rest of the garden. Now the next planter has this rose. It's a rose Coco Loco, and it has more sort of purple petunias in the same container. And right behind it I have this blue pot which houses a few plants. One is this blue convolvulus that I planted to replace the pansy that was in it. And I have to say it has a combination of sky blue and lilac. There is this double petaled bacopa as well that gives a kind of a lilac interest, and it looks really gorgeous. And the next pot, so you would have seen that most of my pots contain 2 or 3 plants, and that's because I don't really have much space, and I try and produce a sort of an overall color scheme rather than try and make individual pots pretty, other than for maybe 1 or 2 that I would use as like proper summer containers. Now in this pot I have a petunia, which is a kind of a plum purple color, and I have the dogwood there, which is not showy at this time of the year, and I have a brachysome. Now on the other side of the porch, actually I should have shown you this pot along with the other summer container. So this one has a euonymus in the middle, and there's Sotera and winter heather. It has a purple osteospermum, which had a flush of blooms, but most of them have gone over, and it's just a single purple flower at the moment. But I'm hoping that more blooms are on their way, and I'll soon have a lovely purple, white and yellow container. Now if I swing you around to the other side of the garden, again I have more pots with a blue theme to fit with the overall blue color scheme of this section of the garden. So I've got blue trailing lobelia. The lighter blue is called, I think it's called Cambridge blue. Again, another lobelia. And the next container, you would have seen me planting it out some videos ago, and that has a Dusty Miller, this scented geranium. It has a Felicia, which is this lovely blue sort of South African daisy, and there's an ivy in it. Right next door I have a lavender, and then this beautiful sky blue delphinium. It's called I think it's called Summer Skies. Here it is when it had blooms in it. At the moment they've gone over. Obviously this beautiful blue color attracts all of the bees in the neighborhood. They love it, and I love it too. I love the color. Okay, moving on. So I have a planter just behind the front row of pots, and that has a variety of plants, again to try and sort of blend in my blue color scheme. I have done a couple of videos sort of labeling these plants, but I have overall sort of a lilac, white and purple color scheme in this planting. So I have this pink snapdragon that I started from seeds in February, and now they're blooming. I'm pretty proud of this. Only a very few of my seedlings survived, but this is one of them. This is an eryngium, I think. It's getting ready to bloom. I'm kind of excited to see it. It's a blue sort of lilac color. And in the next pot I have a gypsophila. That's getting ready to bloom. And I also have a clematis. I thought I will include a shot of the rose, that's a Charles DeMille, when it was in full bloom just a few weeks ago, but now all of the blooms have gone over and I'm gonna deadhead them. Okay, let me swing you around the other section. Well, actually, I forgot to show you one other thing. In the pots, right next to the house, I have a lilac petunia called Priscilla that's adding to my blue color scheme. I also have this really gorgeous dahlia. Now in the pots in this section, I have more Cambridge blues, I have a blue geranium, and then I have more brachysomes, and this really lovely purple mix osteospermum. This is kind of similar to the one that I have